Welcome to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. And now, your host and mine, Trevor Devall.
Well, we are back for another fun-filled episode of Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. I, of course, am your intrepid host, Trevor Devall. First of all, I want to thank everyone at the Toronto AnimeCon for all of your hard work in being part of our last show. I think that the last episode we did, episode 13, The Unlucky Number, was probably the best show we've ever done, and I owe it all to you guys. So all of you who made it into the show, and we're just there for the recording and there to came out to the panels to hear us BS about our lives, thank you so much. It turned out to be pretty awesome. Me and Brian had a grand time, and we are looking forward to returning to Toronto on the May 25th weekend for Anime North. For those of you who don't know, yes, that is the next Toronto appearance of yours truly and Mr. Brian Dobson. And Brad Swell is going to be there too. So come on out to that. It's going to be really good. I have a special request from a fan before we get going into the show. The special request, I've had people say to me, you know, we don't really ever hear about you. We never hear anything about you, Trev. And I have a fan, a very, very lovely, lovely girl named Mary, who wanted to know my first audition story. So I'm going to quickly tell you that, because this is actually, I think it's the first time I've actually devoted any time at all to me on this show. So I'm going to tell a little story. My very first audition was for a show, a little cartoon some of you may recognize. It's called Spider-Man. And when I went, it was at Ocean Studios. When I went to the audition, I was so green. I was so new to the whole voice thing. I didn't even know to put the headphones on. So I walked in to the booth, and there was this young director guy from LA, and he was like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, all right. Yeah, so what are you reading for today? I'm like, oh, well, I guess it's Peter Parker. And so then I got into the booth, and I didn't know to put the headphones on, so I saw these headphones sitting there, and I thought, oh, I don't want to touch those. Those probably belong to an actor or something, and I don't want to do anything. So he starts to speak to me, but of course I can't hear what he's saying. So I can see him through the glass, but I can't hear. All I hear is like his voice through the glass, which is coming out to be I'm saying, what? No, I can't. Sorry, I don't understand. Could you speak louder? Anyway, so I didn't get the job, obviously, but that was my very first audition. So now you know, Mary, that's me. I sucked when I started, and I'm still sucking today. At least I can hear myself suck in my headphones, though. We have the first winner of our extra special contest. For those of you who didn't see it on the website, it is Courtney Hawkeye from Calgary. She won the contest by joining the Facebook site, and we are sending her a copy of episode 13, Behind the Scenes at the Toronto Con, signed by both Brian Dobson and myself. So, Courtney, congratulations! Remember, folks, keep bringing all your friends and fans and family to the Voiceprint site. We are trying to promote the show as best we can, and your contributions make that easier to do. So we will be making another draw soon, and I will let you know when that happens. And of course, at the end of our season, when we finally do get to episode 20, we'll be doing the grand prize draw of every single episode in the show, signed by the respective guests, and that's the grand prize. In any event, we've had some special guests on the show before, you regular listeners out there in internet land. You're aware of the caliber of guests that we have on this show. Well, today we're lowering the bar. No. I'm very, very happy to have our special guest. And before I introduce him, I want to play a little tiny, tiny, tiny clip of some of his work. I think some of you may recognize his work, and it goes a little something like this.
Shall we ask the wing goddess?
Yes, I'll try. If it's true that I'm the wing goddess, I'd like to help you if I can.
Ooh, it is just as the Garasarai song says. The wing goddess has the power to resurrect the dragon armor. It is only then she will lead Gaia to a new world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the multi-talented Terry Klassen.
Thank you, Trevor.
Welcome to Voiceprint.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. It's really cool.
Yes, it's my pleasure to have a man of many talents like yourself here.
I was the girl right at the beginning, so that was very talented.
And that clip, of course, is from the Escaflowne movie, if you remember doing that.
I was a worm, wasn't I?
I don't know. I don't watch this. I don't watch this stuff.
Ouch.
So, yes, you are an actor, you're a director, you're a producer, you're a writer, you're a creator of shows, you are all these things.
And have clean socks on.
And he has clean socks on.
Yeah.
And thank God, let's face it, because it could have been very unpleasant. Well, let's get right into things here. As my faithful listeners know, I enjoy mining the wealth of resources that is IMDB. And in order to do that, I have to give the proper introduction. So here we go.
Okay.
And now, Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests presents In Memoriam, a history of our guests' long and faithful service to the cause of voice acting.
Pages and pages and pages. Look at me trying carefully not to pop my peas.
That's
Huh?
good.
That's
That's
a
good.
professional
You didn't
right
put
there.
a spit thing on, a spit guard.
No spit guard on my mic.
You're
it's
flying
just a cheat.
naked.
So there's pages and pages. I think what they've sort of focused on here seems to be your acting credits. Under your directing credits, it's only a couple things, and I know that you've directed far more than what they have here. So I'll tell you what, we'll go through a couple things here,
Sure.
and you tell me if they got it right.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so first of all, the latest one they have is the Fantastic Four. A couple of episodes on that.
Yeah,
recall?
I was in that. I can't remember my character.
Impossible Man.
Oh, yeah, Impossible Man. Yeah, I did about 4 or 5 episodes on that
Well,
one.
look at
Yeah.
that. Impossible Man. And Coconut Fred's.
You know what? I think that one's a mistake.
Teddy the Bat. I don't know. That
No,
sounds like
I don't think I was on that one.
Crypto the Superdog, of course.
Oh, yeah. I was on there. I did
Tusky Husky.
Husky. You were on that. You
Yes.
were very good on
Well,
that show.
thank you. And you also directed that
Yeah,
show, of course.
I voice directed that. Yeah.
That was a fun show to do.
It was an awesome show. You know, there's oh gosh, the story editor, and he was always on the phone, and his name escapes me. He's from Los Angeles, and he did that, and he also did another series that we did, and Warner Brothers was awesome to work with.
Right on.
They were just really cool, and they let you guys do what you wanted to do, you know.
Yeah.
And that was very cool.
Yeah, it was. It was a joy to work on.
Yeah, and it was on Cartoon Network for a very long time.
Yeah. We did 2 seasons of that, right?
2 seasons. I think we ended up. What did we do? Did we do 40 episodes? Something like that.
Something like that,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it was good. It was very good. Mucha Lucha.
Yeah, that was a series that we did. That was Warner Brothers too. I helped on the casting of the show, and then I actually auditioned for a part on it, which was Abuelo, which is grandfather, and I didn't get it. But it is a horrible story, and I don't like these stories. But I came to the first episode as an incidental character, and then the writer on one of the shows said, "Didn't you audition for Abuelo?" And I said, "Yeah." "Well, you do it." And I got the part, so that was kind of
my.
cool. And I didn't like that. But
Scoop.
yeah, I know. It's not very nice, is it?
Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Inuyasha. That's a big anime fan favorite. That
That might have been the worm.
could be. It says here the character was Hachi or Kotatsu the hair painter. The hair
him.
painter.
No idea.
Well, I'm sure the fans do.
Yeah,
You guys out there,
yeah.
they all know. They
Thanks
know.
for watching.
Thanks for watching. Transformers Energon.
We did 2 seasons of that. We did 104 episodes. We did the Japanese version, and then it became really successful. They knew that they were going to go to movie. Hasbro and Spielberg made a deal. And then they went to LA to do the Prelay series,
Right.
It was kind of sad. But
It is sad.
yeah, the only original guy from our series, Megatron, David Kay, he went on to be Optimus Prime not in the movie, but in the
Prelay.
exactly. That was done
Really?
in LA.
Dave played Optimus.
Yeah,
Huh.
so he's done both Megatron and Optimus. So
Well,
that's pretty cool.
you know, he's a very versatile guy.
He is.
He really is.
Yeah.
That reminds me, actually, just to interject here for a second. I was at a particular studio which has to remain nameless the other day, and a certain engineer played for me a highlight reel of outtakes that they had kept over the years. And you were on it, and you were doing some wonderful, wonderful things. It was like this 10-minute monologue about rewriting the show, or I don't know, it just went on and on, but very funny stuff. And Dave Kay was on there as well, and what he was doing, he was doing an impersonation of Don Brown, which was nice. And then he did an impersonation of Gabe Kuth, so it was very funny.
Hey, I'm the little guy, and I'm always playing little guys, and screw you anyway.
And it was really great. Anyway, it was nice to hear that. I was trying to get that stuff for the show, but no studio in their right mind would let me have it. So.
Yeah, I used to do that. I did way more voices way back when, but now when you voice direct, it's harder to get onto a show because, I don't know, I guess it must be political or something like that. And I also, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen in the future, but I'm also a voice director that believes this is I want to bring in actors as opposed to hiring myself all the time, because I don't think that's fair to actors. I honestly think that I've seen it too often where voice directors will kind of jump into the saddle, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just think it's not what I do. It's a little unfair.
Well, I know it's not what you do, and I want to be the first to thank you for not doing it.
Well, there's other ones that don't do it too, which is cool. But
yeah, actually, there's some good directors in town, and it's nice. It's nice to work with good people like yourself. Yeah,
you're just saying that because I'm hearing you. You probably the real person you wanted couldn't show up.
Okay,
I can come on next week.
Totally.
Crap, what do I do?
He just blew my cover now. He totally figured it out.
Gosh.
Damn it. Well, he's here now. Okay. Gadget and the Gadgetinis. You were on. I'm getting this blank look.
I did some I did some gadgets. Actually, the guy he's awesome. He's from Ontario originally. He lives in L.A., and I can't remember his name.
That's the guy that did Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, he is so cool. He also does the voice of LaMarche.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember his first name, but anyway, he's awesome, a really nice guy, and he did Gadget. He did Don Adams,
right?
Obviously, and he also does, the what's the little toucan that does the breakfast cereals?
Oh,
Follow your nose.
Yeah, it always knows.
Fruit Loops, that
Fruit
guy.
Loops, the Fruit Loops guy.
Anyway.
Yes. Wow, you worked with the Fruit Loops guy? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So many shows. Master Keaton. The Eyes, the Ark of Napishtim, Transformers Armada.
Yeah, we wrote on that too. Actually, the two series that we did, Ward Perry and myself wrote tons of those episodes. We also, actually, speaking of writing, we did Bakugan, which was recently on the air, and we just finished that series for Nelvana. We wrote Ward, another guy wrote on the series. A girl out of Toronto wrote a couple episodes. We did Beyblade, tons of episodes of Beyblade. That's all the ADR kind of stuff that we did.
Well, I want to get back to that aspect too, the whole writing thing. And,
whatever, fine.
And how people get into it and all that stuff, because it's important. And it's a rare thing for us to be able to talk about, because normally there's just a bunch of chump actors on the show who don't really know anything except the sound of their own voice. And
they're actors.
They're actors. That's what they do. Yakety Yak, of course.
Yeah.
Now, this is a show that you also created.
No. I was Studio B show. That was.
Okay.
No, the only one that I created, we'll get to that, is Vana the Yukon.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Inuyasha again, Barbie, Baby Looney Tunes. You were Baby...
I was Baby Sylvester.
You were, cool.
Yeah.
And what did he sound like?
Baby Sylvester, like...
It's so sad to be sitting here with Granny. She's so cute and hot, too. Her kisses are steamy delicious.
Something tells me that's not one of the lines.
It wasn't.
No,
Special DVD release.
Out of all the series, out of all the, all the shows that have come to town, there's Barbie, the movies, Transformers, we've done G.I. Joe, all these big sort of, I did Popeye. I did, Billy West came up and did Popeye. We did, oh, crud. A whole pile of stuff. And then all of a sudden, Baby Looney Tunes came to town. And I thought, as a cartoon actor, the one audition that I wanted to get, I really, really wanted to get onto Baby Looney Tunes. So I did 3 different characters. And one of them was Daffy, another was Sylvester, and I did something else. And I thought I did a killer Daffy. So I got a call back for Sylvester. I don't know what happened to they must really love it. They just want to, straighten up. So anyway, I found out that I got Sylvester, and that was the happiest moment in my cartoon career ever. And I found out that Sam Kuth, he did both Bugs Bunny or did Bugs Bunny.
That's Sam
Tweety.
Vincent for those of you in fandom, by the way.
No, that
well, you've really done it now, Klassen.
It'll never work again, or I won't. Anyway, Sam got Tweety, Daffy, and Bugs,
Right.
the little Bugs. And then they played his reference, the audition he did for Daffy, and I said, holy crap, mine sucked huge.
He actually did his Daffy today in session. And
Oh, did he?
It's just always astounding.
Oh, it's awesome. It was really, really cool. I went, crap. That's why I went into directing.
Well, you've had your share of success. I mean, like I said, this list of shows you've done just goes on and on. Monster Rancher. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys. Did you direct that as well?
No, I think it was just on it.
You were just on it. Soul Taker. That's one close to my heart. You probably don't remember it, but it's
No.
close to my heart. Mega Man.
Oh, yeah.
Mega Man, yeah, you were...
Cut Man or something like that.
yeah. Junk Data Man.
I think there was another series of Mega Man I was...
It must have been, because Junk Data... I mean, that's like... that's the equivalent of like, telephone solicitor man. Or
I like them.
Escaflowne, of course. Dragon Ball Z. Now, this is the one that most people seem to associate you, in terms of the anime world, with.
Yeah.
Is Krillin, right?
Yeah,
It
well,
was
see,
Krillin.
I did when they originally did that, I did Krillin. And then I think we did 26 episodes. It was a lot of fun. Barry Watson was down at Funimation. He used to come up in Asia Texan, and he was a lot of fun to be around. And then it went back down to it went to Fort Worth, back down there. And it just became a huge series. And
So, having never really watched the show, I need to know what Krillin sounded like.
oh, Krillin, jeez.
Yeah, that's going. It's going back a few years.
It's just like it's like Baby Sylvester without the lisp. It was, oh man, come on, Goku, we gotta run for it. And then he did. I forget his kamikaze. I forget the name of his thing. Anyway, I can't do Krillin. There's a guy, actually. There's a guy, I don't know what his name is. He's been living off of Krillin at the Anime Fest forever.
That's, in fact, we have his name here.
I think that's the only
Sunny
series.
Straight.
Yeah, I think that's
Sunny
the only
Straight.
series he's ever done, or he's done like 3. Hey,
Well, you hear
Sonny.
that, Sonny? I'm sure he's listening.
Well, they mocked me on what was it, YouTube, and I was going, oh man, this guy's got a lot of time. So anyway, Sonny, have fun.
Cyber 6, Sonic Underground, Sabrina the Animated Series.
Cyber 6 was awesome. Actually, I wrote about 3 or 4 episodes of that. It was a really, really cool. It was from South America.
Really?
Yeah, like Argentina, and it was really dark, and it was really, really a cool show.
And you played Von Richter.
Yeah,
Von
and
Richter?
yeah. Carl Wilms directed that. It was cool.
Cool. Carl, who's been on the show.
Carl's
Actually been on the
awesome.
show.
Saw him today.
Dragon Ball Z again. Mummy's Alive.
Yeah. Geek animation.
RoboCop Alpha Commando.
Yeah, there was a series. I forget who I played on it, but there was it was really bizarre. They had a guy. Oh, I won't even say this. This isn't a good story.
The wacky.
There was one guy on the show that couldn't act.
Oh, well, good.
And
Good.
that was actually I won't say who, but there was a guy. There was a guy on the show that honestly couldn't act, and they liked him because of it.
They liked him because he couldn't act.
Yeah. And he's like, do the line 3 different ways. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. And he would say, I like the 3rd one. And you're going, am I not hearing right? Have I got sucks in my ear?
The Wacky World of Tex Avery. This is another one that people talk about.
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I did some baby thing.
Baby thing. It just says Maurice.
Yeah, Maurice, and he was a huge. I think he was a duck or a goose or something, and it had a Swedish accent.
Everywhere he went, everything was fun, and the fox would chase him like crazy.
That was that one.
Oh, it keeps going on here.
I get all the high voices, don't I?
You really do. You really do. G.I. Joe Extreme. Was this series?
Yeah, there was 2 series actually. There was G.I. Joe Extreme, and then there was another one before I forget it. Excuse me. That was actually the first series that I ever got in Vancouver. Like the first show I ever did in Vancouver. You talked about your first audition that you ever did. The first show I ever was on was a show called Camp Candy. John Candy had a series out, so I was a guest on that. And it was funny because Doug Parker, who's been around forever, I was just sitting around in one of the studios in town, and basically he said, "Hey Terry, why don't you come and audition for what? A cartoon? Okay, I was like you. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, so I got my first audition, and there was like 6 people, that actually auditioned for a cartoon, and then I went. Then GI Joe came as a series, and I got onto that, and so there was 2 series of GI Joe.
Right.
The second one, I think the one that you're talking about, I played a kung fu
Black Dragon.
Yeah. He was
Black Dragon.
Well, we didn't go that far. It was just he just had to talk like this a lot.
Not one of these guys.
I was so hoping.
Wow. The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that was a huge series. I got a big part in that, but then somebody beat me out at the last minute, which kind of sucked.
Wow.
So I did some guests on it. It was pretty cool.
Double Dragon. Ice Pick was your character.
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember the storyline, but I don't remember the show.
Ranma 1/2.
Oh yeah, I wrote a whole bunch of those, and that was done through Viz Video. That was a huge direct to video project. I mean, we did endless episodes of that, and I voice directed that series too. So that was
Where did you do that? Was that at?
That was Ocean.
At Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's a few years ago. That's early '90s.
Oh yeah.
The Bots Master.
Oh yeah. I was the nerd, I think, in that one.
You actually, yes, the nerd.
Yeah,
yes,
that was
very
pretty
good.
Yeah, I think Doug Barker directed that one.
Circle against the square. Bucky O'Hare and the Toad Wars. Sam speaks a lot about this.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a miss one. That was actually funny. I forget who got it.
So you weren't in Bucky?
No, what I did was, it was really funny. I forget the director's name. He's from LA, and what happened was, okay, Terry, you're coming. You're Bucky. You come to the first show. So I go to the first show, and the voice director goes, he's an old guy, goes, yeah, you're in the first show. They really don't like you, but we're going to record one and see how it goes. And that was the end of that.
Yeah. Such a vote of confidence must be overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm going to really try for you. Yeah. Just keep the lines as normal as you can.
Entry number 78. This is what I love about IMDb. Because what we have here, the character on this show is Krillin. Okay?
Yeah.
The show is Dragon Ball Z. When they phonetically reproduce how a Japanese person would say Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball. This is so awesome. I love it. I love it so much. Dragon Ball Z. You guys ever want to know how to master a Japanese accent? Just read anything on IMDb. They'll phonetically spell it out for you.
Well, who puts this stuff in there?
Well, this is a giant mystery. I do have one listener who actually, I think, is largely responsible for having IMDb fix because there was, for a long time, there was an issue about me as Pyro on X-Men,
right,
who I played, and for a long time, and I've ranted about this many times on the show before, but IMDb had Mike Dobson listed as that. And I wrote them and said...
Well, Mike Dobson can't act.
Well, clearly not, no. So...
If you're listening, Mike.
So anyway, I emailed them, and they got, and they said, oh yeah, we all swore, oh yeah, and they changed it for about a week, and then it changed back. So anyway, I have a listener who wrote in and said,
you know who's doing that?
No, yeah,
Dobson's doing that. He needs the credit.
And he was playing so innocent when he was on the show. He was playing. He said, "What? I don't know what you're talking about. No, that's crazy talk." Okay, and then we just get into a bunch of things that I don't know what it is. Miscellaneous crew apparently is how they list voice directors on IMDb.
Okay, yeah,
it's just one of those, like you were holding the cable, you know,
Yeah,
you're a miscellaneous crew. So Barbie, Mermaidia,
I'm sort of I'm sort of the stock and trade director, touch wood, of the whole Barbie series lately, and it's
and there's always more Barbie movies.
There's another one coming up. Actually, we're supposed to be auditioning for coming up at the end of this month.
Well, thanks for the tip there, boss.
Yeah, no,
and that's Kelly, right? Kelly Sheridan, who is
Kelly
the voice
Sheridan
of
has
Barbie.
been the voice of Barbie forever.
And
nicest girl too.
Oh, she's been on the show. She's been great. And of course, the princes keep changing, right?
Yeah.
Like they get guys like, I'm assuming, Kirby and guys like that.
Kirby's been in there. You know what? Names I always forget.
Brad Swale, has he ever done?
Brad Swale would be perfect, but I don't think he might have been one. I don't know. What happened was I didn't do the first 3. I wasn't even in the running for the first 3, and all of a sudden, as far as voice directors, I was a character in a couple of them, but then all of a sudden I got the call to do it, and from then on I've done that and Fairytopia.
Right.
You know, so there
was a time a couple years ago where things were so busy, and Lana at VoiceBox
Yeah.
had hired me as your backup director because things were so busy.
Yeah.
And that was all going to go, and it was all great. And then the minute she said, you know what, I'm hiring you for this job, everything dried up. There was no work.
Kind of like now. No, it's slowing down. It'll pick up.
Of course. Of course. You know, it's funny you say that because I'm having the busiest season of my career.
She bastard. Can we say that? That's the internet.
Yakety yak again. You direct Mega Man. Did you direct Mega Man?
I directed some episodes of Mega Man, but
Right.
this is, I think that was the Prelay series.
Right, that's
that
right.
was,
95.
I forget the name of the producers. They were old school guys from LA. And they used to do stuff in the 70s when I was a kid and watch, on TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was really funny. They would come up, and the one guy would be smoking a cigar and limping in there. Yeah, that was really good. Let's just wrap this up. I got a plane to catch. So you love it for the art, don't you? Yeah. Jeez, I got an itch I can't scratch.
And you learned from him, and then you took on his mannerisms when directing.
Well, it was really funny. We had directors from LA, and there were some really old school guys. Actually, I was in Los Angeles a little while ago, and I was talking to a guy in a studio that basically used to be the engineer for the original Charlie Brown series.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm going, did they even have a director? Because Charlie Brown would just get a whole bunch of kids in a room and
And
whatever
just have
they
them
say.
talk. Yeah.
And he said that was pretty much it too. Let's make sure the lines are right.
Are they pronouncing the words? That's fine. When I was in New York last year, I was in a bar off an Irish pub off Times Square, and I met the animation director of Heavy Metal,
The original one.
the movie Heavy Metal and Beavis and Butthead the movie.
No way.
Yeah, and he was this old. He didn't sound anything like that. I don't know why. I just say old and that voice comes out. But he was this older gentleman. We sat there. We talked animation for 3 hours. It was awesome because that side of it fascinates me. Being an ignoramus actor, I only know what happens on this side of the glass, right?
But that's another thing as far as voice directing goes. I mean, that's why sometimes when I'm giving direction to people, when people are falling downstairs, to go and you can't edit that apart. So every time you hit a stair, you have to go next one's and you put spaces in between so that then the animators, when they do, they put it to picture, they can time that all out. So each one's a hit on the stair.
This is something a lot of people don't ever stop to think about how technical the job is. And that kind of thing. I mean, something as simple as, falling down the stairs, you have to remember, there's an animator out there whose job it is to draw that and to make that. Let me ask you this. I've said this before, but I want to ask you this. I sort of came up with this little theory the other day. The thing that separates voice acting from any other type of acting, whether it's on camera or stage or anything.
You get to wear clothes you wear at home to work?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like to wear my ballerina tutu, as you know. But
And track suits? No.
Wow, it's the same stuff I wear to the airport.
You know what that says when you wear a tracksuit? It says you've given up. You've given up. No, I
Sorry,
think
go ahead.
the difference is, the real key difference in the acting styles is effort sounds. Is bringing the effort sounds to life and making them convincing. Because so many times when I teach, I see these guys that are actually pretty good, but as soon as you say, okay, now push that boulder.
Yeah.
They go, no. You have to actually commit to just push the boulder. Okay. No. Actually, you really have to hear the strength. Could you? Oh, yeah. Okay. You want to hear? Okay. They just don't get it at all.
Well, I think it's the reverse of film acting. Is if any film actor, they'll tell you how they really get involved in, doing it and their craft and stuff like that. And basically, to me, film acting, and it's very difficult, but the secret to it is doing very little, because anything that you do on film is magnified a billion times. I mean, if you scratch your eye, it's like blinking twice.
Right.
Everybody sees it. So what you have to do is you have to pull back. Animation is way more theatrical. And what I always say is you got to play to the back of the room. We'll have film actors come in and, they're reading for superhero. Okay, now really sound like a superhero, really bring it together, and they'll go, I'm wearing these tights because they mean I'm superlicious. And you're going, that's why somebody like, you're a big Seinfeld fan, somebody like Putty, when he did animation, he just has an animation in his voice. And you have to, I'll tell you a story about this in a second, is the characters have to deliver to the animators something to draw to. I mean, it just could be a simple little or whatever. The example was, there was a show, I won't even say what show it is, I won't say who did it, but there was a guy in town, and he was the lead in a series. And the animators would get his, that's called a pause edit. It's basically all the lines in the show with little pauses in between. And the guys that were doing the show, it was a computer animated show, would just rip their hair out because the guy, he was the lead, couldn't or wouldn't act. And it was just this really flat sort of acting.
Right.
And how do you draw pictures to that? How do you make the eyebrows go up, the mouth smirk, a hand gesture? There has to be. Disney is, the master of that because they do full animation. And they basically took a picture of the actor and put it on the wall and had used it as a dartboard. And that's a true story. But that's the thing is, you're right. You have to be able to, when you're lifting a boulder, it can't weigh 2 pounds. It's got to be a real boulder. You have to grunt and push. And it's a cartoon, so you really have to ham it up. You talked about heavy metal. That was to be a live action type, series. Or it was supposed to look like it was really cool. So the actors in that were very low key. And Spider-Man, which was on MTV, they kind of talk like this all the time. Yeah. And to me, that's really boring. Yeah. I think that anytime they try to do real Spawn type stuff, it's just boring.
I agree, and it's the rare show that comes off well. I think one of them that does come off well, just because the entire style is so geared to a really film noir feeling, is the Batman animated series.
Oh, absolutely, and just the grays and the blacks on it. That's really cool.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where every aspect of the design, really lends itself to this straight acting kind of, film noir thing.
But they also have a few characters in there that are kind of goofballs.
Like Mark Hamill is the Joker.
Yeah.
Hello, best Joker ever. Heath Ledger is rolling in his grave. Or something. Oh, God, sorry.
But yeah, I think that I'm in what I like to do is my favorite cartoons are funny ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where actors can be stupid and crazy, and the best ones are where the producers and the art directors actually let the actors go crazy.
Oh yeah,
and that's very few and far between.
One of the best compliments I ever got was when we were doing Dragon Booster for Nerdcore, and I took a tour of the studio because they do everything in house here in Vancouver. And I can't remember if I told this story, kids, or not, but I was taken to the studio, and I was being led around, and I'm just utterly fascinated by how, because it's the first time I've seen this, how the animation gets put together. And I was talking to one of the animation directors, and he said, you and the cast, the whole cast of Dragon Booster, he said, you guys are one of the best casts we've ever worked with, because when you guys deliver a line, we know by the inflection in your voice exactly how it's supposed to be drawn. We can tell right away if there's an eyebrow arch or a little sneer come. And he said that's so great to have. So when we get the dialogue track sent to us, we just hear it and we just know how it's supposed to look. And that was like a massive compliment.
Disney,
and it makes you feel like you're working together with that other team that you never see.
Disney would do, they'd always bring in video cameras and videotape the people in the studio. But you're right. I mean, it's just stupid expressions. And that makes animation a whole lot easier. And it's funny. I mean, it's funny. Well, another one, too. I mean, if you got the budgets, The Incredibles, if you watch the face movement on that. And, of course, we're talking creme de la creme of animation. It's just very good. And you're left-handed. That's awesome. By the way, only left-handed people should be in animation.
That's true. And kids out there, righties, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get your janitorial
There are
degree.
certain rules that will be made up in the future.
In the future, hamburgers will eat people.
Write something for me. Eliminate him. But I just wrote my name. But with your right hand.
I want to take a little break, and when we come back, I want to talk about your writing, your creation of shows, and I want to talk about your directing and how you got into that and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll go to Martin's mailbag and take some questions from the fans and do that whole thing. So don't go anywhere, kids. We'll be right back.
We interrupt this eargasmic cornucopia of pure audio wind to shamelessly promote another podcast. No! A big, bald broadcast.
But what makes it big and bald?
The Big Bald Broadcast brings you news on all things geeky, movies, gadgets, games, cartoons, and anime, and other random fandom.
You're fired.
I'm fired.
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.
But what makes it big and bald?
It's hosted by big, bald anime and video game voice actor Kyle Hebert and his co-host, musician and upcoming author, Otherworld Steve.
Oh, you must smell like feet wrapped in leathery burnt bacon.
Subscribe via iTunes or visit thebigbaldbroadcast.blogspot.com.
That was totally wicked!
Having trouble meditating? Unable to achieve a state of zen? Is the constant barrage of outside stimulus distracting your conscious mind, preventing you from attaining the sense of deep relaxation required to ascend to a path of inner harmony and true enlightenment? Don't let your chi fizzle. Try Easy Meditator. Easy Meditator. Lightweight, portable, and practically pocket-sized, Easy Meditator easily attaches to any clean surface area, allowing you to get on with your business while Easy Meditator contemplates the vast complexities of the conscious universe for you. Just pump, pump, pump Easy Meditator's Harmono valve and watch as Easy Meditator attains a state of profound contemplative disassociation. Easy Meditator! Easy Meditator! Meditate at the office, meditate in the car. You can even meditate while you're watching TV. At last, the cumbersome hassle of transcendental meditation has been overcome in one convenient, durable, hands-free spiritualism attainment unit. Easy Meditator comes in a wide variety of colors and themes. Neon 80s, Scottish Brogue, Miami Vice, Funky Monkey, or the red, white, and blue of Old Glory herself. Easy Meditator is now available for the whole family. Easy Meditator Lady, Baby Meditator, Easy Meditator for cats, dogs, goldfish, even cat licks. Easy Meditator, Easy Meditator. Other portable meditation units offer cheap false harmonies, spitting out any old half-truths, bumper stickers, and REO Speedwagon lyrics. But Easy Meditator is the only meditation unit available that offers deep, fulfilling self-awareness with a 100% money-back guarantee. Only $99.99. 99. Just call 1-800-546-5600, 444-782-676, extension 6777-1132-5555, and say, meditate me now, to receive a special bonus offer of a 6-CD, 14-hour compilation of the sound of one hand clapping featuring the celebrity hand of Star Trek's Michael Dorn. Absolutely free. Easy Meditator. Easy Meditator. We put the Easy Meditator in Easy Meditator.
You're listening to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to part the second of episode 14. Don't mind me just having a little beverage. There we go. It's a bit of a topper. So, we are back with Terry Klassen. So what I am interested in talking to you about, Terry, is how you got in, and not only how you got in to the voice acting world, but also how you became a director, how you became a creator, how you became a writer, all that kind of stuff. So what was your first, like...
Terry Klassen, 1974.
I was sitting in a pub with these two Irish guys. One was naked. His name was Bernice, I believe. He was a terrific dancer. That's all I remember. Oh, yeah, and he had back hair. Or stubble or something. I don't know. I'm trying to block it.
She was gorgeous.
No, I guess it goes back to when I was a little kid. I grew up on a farm. I grew up in a town, in Starbuck, Manitoba.
Right, Manitoba, yeah. That's right.
So I hated the farm. I hated farming for all you farm kids out there. But we got to eat. No, it was a grain farm, and basically, you know, I just liked being a goof. I used to watch cartoons literally when I was a little kid. I used to watch Warner Brothers, and I would look at the Roman numeral dates on the end of the show, and you know, or the beginning of the show. And if a show, I used to watch Popeye do the same thing for Warner Brothers. If it was after 1959, they went to crappy animation. I hated the shows, and I would literally just watch, you know the names of the guy like Carl Stalling and Fritz Freeland, and I would just, you know, all the, you know, like the music composers, the art directors and stuff like that. And I would just watch it more than just a kid sort of like, you know, just popping back some dried Cheerios. It was like, it was amazing to me.
So you were, for your generation, a fanboy.
Well, I would not. Well, no, not to the extent that. Well, yeah, I guess I would. I thought it was absolutely amazing. And then I got into radio because I didn't want to work. You know, so I was a radio announcer for years, like morning shows. And basically, what that did was allowed me to get into the production studios. And I would make up fake radio commercials. I would do little bits. I write stuff for the morning show. Actually, there's a guy in town, Brother Jake, that works at Rock 101. He used to work when I was in Winnipeg. I used to write bits for his show. You know, I mean, back then we used to do takeoffs of Mr. Rogers. It was the guy named Mr. Raleigh. We did tons of different things. And so basically that sort of gave me, that gave me mic technique, that gave me different sensibilities of how to create and write and things like that. And then I hated radio because it was getting to be very corporate and there's just a lot of bean counters involved. So I got out of it and I moved to Vancouver. And basically out of the blue, just really lucky, just started, this was in the late 80s, 86 actually, the Expo year when Expo was in Vancouver. Started doing radio commercials. My first one was Jolt Cola. And I thought it was so cool because I remember laying in the beach in Hawaii. I was thinner then. And here was in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It was a Jolt Cola commercial. That's me. Here I am with my Walkman when they still had the big headphones going, I'm on the radio. Everybody's going, you smell like coconut too. And not in a good way. And so anyway, so I started doing radio commercials and then I kind of told the story. Doug Barker was auditioning for some series in town and just flipped into that. The directing came along. It was at Ocean and they were looking for Ronma. They were looking for a director for that. And they said, well, you seem to know what you're doing. And I said, okay. And it just progressed from there,
That's how easy it was back then.
Well, it was easier. I mean, even when we auditioned, you knew who your competition was. I mean,
yeah, because you got started in the heyday with I'm assuming like the Scott McNeils and the Gary Chalks and the Dale Wilsons, and when it was just that key gang. Right?
I'll tell you a Scott McNeil story. This is really funny, and I like Scott. This is just really funny. What happened was when my son was born, we moved back to Winnipeg because my wife at the time, she was basically. Her mother lived there, so we moved back there. And I was a year out of animation and stuff like that, and I wanted to move back here, and we all wanted to move back here. So we did move back here. And so I went to an audition, and we're sitting in sort of, the little area where you're supposed to sit. And I was sitting down. I was the only guy in the room, sitting in the corner. Scott McNeil walked in, and he really didn't look at me or anything like that. He didn't know I was back, but obviously that's kind of blew the story there. But he looks over the list of people that were auditioning, and all of a sudden he says, Terry Klassen, he's back. Oh, no. I hope that was a good thing. That was before I was a voice director. So I thought that was a bit of a compliment. So,
well, yeah.
Oh, crap. Out of the 20 people for the 37 roles.
Wow. So that's how you began directing, was at Ocean, doing anime stuff.
Yeah, and then it was anime, and then went into Prelay. It was Mega Man and different shows like that. And then other people asked me about directing, and I said, sure, I can do that.
Right.
So I just progressed from there.
It's like a director directs. Yeah. It's like a writer writes, a director directs.
What does a dancer do? I can never think of, what is a dance? It's in the top of my head. A dancer, what do they do?
Well, it's kind of like when people say, well, God, how do you make a film? And well, the answer is you go out and you shoot a film. Really, it comes down to that.
But I think a lot of actors just like to act because, that's what they want to do,
And the idea of not working for a living is very appealing.
I agree with you. It is. I mean, there are some directors that I've worked for in the past that basically, I think you have to have sort of a bit of an imagination to be a director, so you can sort of see what's going to go on, and sort of in an animation way. And I've worked with people it says he's not doing that, for the action, but the line reinforces that jumping off a cliff. Right. I'm not making any sense. It's the booze. Trevor's filling me with booze. No, he's not. But there's good and bad in anything, and I'm bad.
Bad mostly.
Like totally Michael bad. Jackson bad.
So what about the writing? You've done writing. Well, actually, let's get to the shows you've actually created.
Well, there's just the one co-created, which is Ivana the Yukon.
Ivana the Yukon, and that was co-created with
Ian Corlett.
Corlett, yes.
Yeah, the story on that was Ian was at Banff one year, and he was pitching some shows that we had, and they really sucked. But, it was the beginning of stuff. There was a guy from Europe asked, do you have anything Canadian? So Ian phones me up and says, do you have anything Canadian? I said, no, but let me think of something. So I went for a run the next morning and literally came up with the show Ivana the Yukon. and phoned my mother-in-law. She was French Canadian. And I said, how do you spell Yvonne, as a guy's name? And, it's Y-V-O-N. And so he brought it, Ian presented it there. It didn't sell to those people, but it sold to Studio B, and we brought it went, 52 episodes or something. That's pretty cool.
And who was Yvonne on that?
I can't remember his name. He lived in Cultus Lake.
So he's not one of the usual gang.
No, he was an actor that actually Doug Parker had used for a while, and he did. He just had this really he smoked.
Yeah,
so
you can tell.
And there's a certain tarness to a voice, and he was really, really good. And I can't. Oh, Drew Rochelle. That was the name. And he just was, out of all the people that did auditions for Yvonne, it was basically bad Quebecois, and he wasn't Yvonne of the Yukon. The character was supposed to be French because he was an explorer that gets frozen. And so Drew just came up with this, cigarette smoking guy running around in underpants, and it was just awesome. There's sometimes, talking about auditions, this is really weird. This is actually for people that audition. Sometimes it'll say at the top of the page, should sound like, and they'll give you a name of a character, whether it be, I don't know, it's the guy from Back to the Future, or like a Putty or something like that. And so everybody and their dog comes in and does exactly that.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes in and does something totally more left wing. And then that person gets the gig. And they go, well, but that's not the direction. Yeah, but it was so different. Sometimes you just got to bring something else to the table.
So do you think that, because that happens all the time, and, obviously on the actor side of it, we're very much aware of that too, and that when you see, okay, well, they're like, Christopher Lloyd, and you think, okay, well, if I'm later in the day, then they will have already heard 20 Christopher Lloyd impersonations, so I should go. But if I'm first in the day, maybe I should stick with it. So
I think either way you do it, you stick with what they want, but come to the party with something else.
Right.
Because the fact is that there's so many guys but they said they wanted Christopher Lloyd, and they chose something totally different. Well, yeah, but it
happens.
That's
all
the business.
All the time. So what about writing? How did you start? You're talking about writing for like anime stuff? I mean, or you were doing prelay writing too?
I've done prelay writing, and I've done anime stuff. Prelay is a lot different. Like when you do an actual cartoon. Did one of the episodes of Weirdos. That was a long time ago. And it was, anyway, prelay writing is basically it's you have to visualize everything. You have to do the transition, and then comparing it to ADR writing, basically you have everything there and you have a translated script, so you just have to make it fit into English.
Right.
Totally different sensibility.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously more technical when you're. So how does that work then? You get, if you're going to write an anime script,
right?
What do you get, and what do you have to turn it into?
In the old days, we used to get VHSs, which was a pain in the butt. They were time coded, and they were really hard to fast forward and rewind. And you had to get it on the exact time code. Comes to 1/30th of a frame, because in video there's 30 frames a second. So you have to be able to click on a 30th of a frame, which is just frustrating. Now you get quick times, and it's on the 30th of a second. So it's basically it's 2 clicks and that's a second. And what we get is, when we just did Bakugan, we would get a quick time. We download it from a site in Toronto, from Nelvana. They send that and a translation, and basically you just write off of the translated script to the.
So there's. Let me get the process straight from the beginning here. You've got the Japanese show, and someone is hired to do a direct translation, from English into English, and then you take the English and you try and fit that according to the time code to visually what you're seeing.
Yeah, there's one company out of Houston that does ADR, and what they're famous for is translating the shows directly from Japanese into English, making them fit, but they really keep the sensibilities of the show.
Right.
Like if you look at Dragon Ball Z, you go back to that show. That show had different levels of heaven.
Yeah.
And in the United States, Americans especially, they don't like talking about death, heaven, killing, anything like that. They're very, you just can't do that. Yeah. So what you have to do is, when you talk about heaven, well, they were literally on a cloud. You talk about them being on a cloud, or there's another show in Bakugan, where one of the mothers of a character, is that correct? The mother dies. well, you can't say she died because the Americans, there is no death in America. And so she just was sick and went away. You know, and there was another show where this guy is deathly ill and he gets healed by the character, you know, like the little Bakugan. Yeah. Well, you can't have that. So you have to rewrite it. You have to, what we do is we try to make it so that it's cool as what an American kid would sound like when he's, you know, talking.
But this speaks a lot to what I've heard fans say about the reason why some of them don't like the dubs, because they don't think that the dubs, in some cases, are true to what the real, you know, stuff being said is, which of course you hopefully are seeing more from the subtitles. But what they don't understand, these fans, I think, is the type of challenges that not only the script writers have to deal with, but also the actors and the directors. Well, because they're not trying to. It's a very technical process, and from the actor's perspective, you're trying to fit the flaps, and sometimes certain words just don't work. So you have to change it.
The most dangerous fans are the ones that can speak a little Japanese. And anyway, the point being is there's nothing wrong. I mean, it was sort of like in live action, the argument would be, and I was in that situation too, I had seen The Office from Britain with Ricky Gervais, and I really liked it.
The only one worthy of watching.
But that's and as a true fan. And so when the American one came along, I did not want to watch it. Yeah. I was a snob, but I watched it under duress. And after about 3 or 4 episodes, you know, it slowly, you know, admitted that I liked it. That happened with Dragon Ball Z when we did the, you know, obviously the true Japanese fan hated when we did it, and then the American fans, there was a lot of fans that hated when it went from Vancouver down to Houston. But the bottom line is Funimation, or I'm just using it as an example, they're in a business, and they're not going specifically after, I mean, to a degree they are, but you can't just go after the hardcores, because you would go broke doing that really fast, because they don't make up a large percentage. For them, buy a dubbed copy, like with what do you call that?
Subtitles,
thank you. With the words underneath.
That's a fancy word, I know.
Yeah, and then you can stay true to whatever it is.
Or buy the manga. That's really the thing.
Yeah.
If you want to be the true fan and know the story, you have to buy the manga.
If you go to, I don't know if it's still there. I'm listed as an author too, because if you go to Amazon.com, some of the episodes of Transformers we wrote were made into little cartoons or comic books, and so I'm the author of those.
Can I just say, that reminds me of something, and I won't say what show this was, but my favorite line you ever said as a director when you directed me, we were doing some show, and I said to you, we did one take, and I said to you, I think maybe I could do better on that one. And you said, the kids are already up playing outside anyway. And I've never forgotten that. And it always brings a little smile.
What show that was? Did he get ratings?
So let me ask you this then. If you had advice to any sort of budding creators or even directors out there, what would it be from your long years of experience?
I think the main thing is perseverance, because, you know, if you're trying to create a show, first of all, you should understand the business. I mean, there's one guy, literally, he had stuff written on scraps of paper and ideas, and he was going to hand them in. I saw another girl pitching in Banff, the show, and it was basically on recycling, and it was sort of like, I think she used actually crumpled recycled paper to present her show as if this was really funny, and you're just going, man, understand that, you know, people are in it to make money, and that's what the business is. If you want to make an independent film and you want to tell a story about yourself, awesome, go to town, because there's some really, really cool things out there, and there's the odd kid or adult that gets noticed doing that. But if you're into the commercial stuff, you really got to be, you really got to push. If somebody says no to you, go to somebody else. And, you know, because you know that person that said no to you in 5 years will not be in that position anymore. Mm-hmm. Just push.
If they said no, they're obviously an idiot. They'll be fired eventually. Just wait them out.
But you have to have, you know, you have to have good ideas, and, you know, who's the judge of that?
Well, apparently the suits at the network are the judge of that.
Well, yeah. And you know what? There are some really good ones, and there are other ones that just should never be in those positions.
That is very true. Yeah. I once pitched an idea to the CBC for a live-action TV series. And
hitting hot buttons there.
Oh, well, let me tell you. It was something else. It was like out of a TV show. and not a good TV show, because I was there pitching the idea. Okay, so the idea, and I told them, and I was super excited about this, and I had done done all the homework on it and the research, and I'd presented it. Obviously, the idea was good enough that they allowed me to pitch to them, right? So. Yeah. Because there's a million people that pitch, and there's only a couple ideas that they even look at. So I went up and I pitched them, and these two suits at the CBC had no imagination whatsoever. They took this idea of mine, which was pretty cool, pretty interesting. I shopped it around to a lot of different folks, and everybody was going, I've never seen this before. This is very cool. So I thought this is a shoo-in. The CBC, their mandate this year is to do really interesting new...
breakthrough stuff. No, you know, it's not going to happen. There's too many people there that make decisions. And the thing, too, is remember when George Lucas was pitching Star Wars, I think it was 7 studios that turned him down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where you have to just push and push and push.
Probably based on that first script, if you've ever seen it. It sucked.
Well, I probably did. I mean, but the fact is that he just pitched and pitched. Also, it was Steve Martin was quite funny. He was on a show one time, and David Eisner used to be one of the guys that would greenlight shows. I forget which studio was that, but there was Steve Martin. It's sort of now he gets to face Eisner years later, because guess who turned down The Jerk? And Eisner basically said, I don't get it. He didn't get it. His first name was David, wasn't it? I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. Well, let us see what's hip and happening down at Teletoon and YTV. Let's see what's in the mailbag.
Martin's mailbag.
He's very happy about the sheep,
actually. I thought it was a goat.
Goat sheep.
Goat sheep, that's the difference. They're both really kinky when you bring them home after a few drinks.
Spend some time, you'll know.
I had the pleasure of actually meeting Martin at the convention. Well, I've met him before, but he was part of the last Voiceprint episode.
That's cool.
So he's actually on the show in the last episode. It's pretty cool. Anyway, we have some new stuff. First of all, he wants to remind everybody that the announcement of my Anime North appearance is on their website. Also, there are some programming changes over at YTV. First of all, Team Galaxy is now airing on Mondays to Fridays at 3:30 p.m. George of the Jungle, a show that Terry directed, and I had the pleasure of working on several episodes, is now airing on Teletoon on Mondays to Fridays at 7:30 p.m. And Johnny Test, another show you directed, airs on Teletoon on Monday to Fridays at 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 3:30 p.m. Well, it's the big Terry Klassen show over there on YTV, apparently. Just everything's coming up Terry.
They're so smart.
We are now starting Gundam Seed Destiny from the beginning, and the 4th Death Note DVD is available now. I forget which voice actor is in the interview footage for that, actually, because I think I was on the second one. I think Brad was on the... Oh, you know what? I think actually maybe the 4th one is... I think there's the commentary by, like, Carl and... well, whatever. It's on one of those. Here's a listing of some of Terry's famous characters. Von Richter, or Richter, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Richter of Cyber 6. The first Krillin of Dragon Ball Z. The Mole Man of Escaflowne, and that's from the clip that we heard. Denerd of the Botsmaster. Denerd is the name and the brain is the game. Was that a catchphrase of yours?
I don't know. He's the guy that always talked with Z's.
Jingle on Hamtaro. Six Shot on Transformers Energon. And Hachi of Inuyasha.
If I could die and go to heaven, I'd want to be him.
Here's a list of series Terry has done directing or script adaptation. Bakugan, which is now airing new episodes on Teletoon. Beyblade, Cyber 6, Card Captors the Movie, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, Project Echo 2, 3, and 4, Ranma 1/2, and of course Transformers Armada, Energon, and Cybertron. Martin says he can't decide which Krillin he likes more, Terry or Sunny Straight, because they both do them very well. So we're gonna have to
I'd go with the original. But, thank you, Martin.
Now, to start the round of fan questions this week, Martin actually would like to start the questions off. He says this: we know that script adaptation, voice directing, casting, and acting are very tightly integrated processes. Anything affecting one component will affect the whole series. How has voicing characters made it easy for you, Terry, in terms of voice directing and script adaptation?
I think it's being able to understand what I think an actor goes through in the room, and trying to get something out of an actor, because there was many times well, you know this from me, is like half the time I can't figure out what I'm supposed to be telling you guys. No, but there's a lot of times where I've had producers give me a dirty look where I'll tell an actor to do something totally different than what's on the script to imagine what the scene is about. They go, why'd you tell him that? Because the actor will understand what the emotion is. Yeah. I mean, and where I got that from, I'm not comparing myself to him, but it was Spielberg was talking about the scene where he had to get one of the kids to cry, and he told do you remember when your dog died? And it has nothing to do with the scene, but it's like
or the first episode in Extras.
Yeah. But it's I love that series.
Would it be funny if I shot your mother in the face right now? What? Huh? No, you wouldn't laugh, would you?
That was such a good show. Yeah, I want to laugh. So, anyway, so there are. I think it's understanding what goes on in the room where the actors are when they're recording. That gives you a sense of writing. It gives you a sense of timing, and it gives you a sense of what you should be directing.
Right. Well, that's good. That's a very good answer, Terry.
Oh, thanks.
You get the gold star. Our next question is from Evan in Edmonton.
Your hometown.
My hometown, Edmonton, Alberta. And I'm going back this week, and I'm very, very excited.
You get to go to the mall.
I get to go to the mall. It's going to be awesome.
Go see the Trappers. Are they still there?
I don't think so. That's a few years ago now.
That's right.
Or I was thinking of the Drillers. That used to be the soccer team.
Oh, no, I was thinking baseball. They had AAA team.
Yeah, the Trappers, I think, still may be around.
Yeah.
And speaking of Edmonton, are the Oilers in?
Yeah,
no, they're not. No, they're out.
Done.
They're done.
Yeah.
Just like Vancouver.
Yeah, we're toast.
Anyway, Evan says, hey, Trevor, I thought the last episode of Voiceprint was hilarious. Me too. No, thank you. It was a lot of fun to do. Anyway, my question to Terry Klassen is, which career do you think is harder, being a voice actor or a director?
It's definitely being a voice director. This is a horrible, horrible thing to say. Is when you do a voice actor, is you have no responsibility. You go in the room and you basically, you act the lines that are there. It's basically you highlight them and away you go. You can scratch things in between stuff. As a voice director, if it's a big cast, and if you have a good cast, like the show we're doing right now, Kid versus Cast, that's a good cast. Sometimes you get into the babysitting mode, and that is really, really hard to do, whether it be clients or cast. And so you always are doing something when you're a voice director. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot more organizational. You have to prepare the scripts way more. You have to know exactly what's going on, because if you don't, and I've been in that situation where, when the actors tell me, he doesn't do that. Crap, I was thinking of something else. No, but I've been in a situation where I've seen directors just, but I'm supposed to fall there. Oh, yeah. So why did you fall there, Yeah, you miss stuff.
Well, Evan, I've seen this guy behind the glass, and he's, it's true. You're always doing something. It's too bad, because you miss a lot of our best jokes that way.
I know. I'm talking over you guys all the
time. Our next question is from Jonathan, who I think is also from Edmonton. My question for Terry is, if you could direct a Hollywood movie, what would the movie be called, and which actors would you have play the leading roles?
Oh, God. Jerry Lewis and The Orderly. No, what? That's a really good question. I don't know. Oh, man. You know who I really like? I like quirky films, but you know what? I'm not smart enough to do those things. It's just, like Guy Ritchie movies or the Coen brothers or films like that. It's just, I like watching a movie where the directors take you somewhere else. I'm in the animation level, so that's probably where I'm best suited. But, anything with Britney Spears in it. Okay, Britney, you can drive now.
That's right. Just hold the baby up a little higher.
If it's above the windshield when the top's down, it's a lot safer, because it'll get thrown clear when you hit the tree. It's all in the good book.
Sorry, I didn't answer that question, did I?
It's okay.
You don't want to run the risk of getting any blood and guts in your upholstery after all. It's a pretty nice Cadillac you're driving there.
Yeah, wait till the tree hits the car and then the airbags come out. You'll be good. That shire's leather and terrio. You can't get hurt. That steering wheel, it'll stop you cold.
It is kind of legendary, your whole Texan character.
I loved that. It's from Bobby from Barry Watson from Funimation. And he's a funny guy, and he can do that. We actually drove. It was really funny. We drove from Dallas to Memphis and went to Graceland, the whole ball of wax. But he literally does that. I'm just like a wannabe kind of thing. But he basically was really funny, and my line to him on that trip was, I look at www.stupid.com and your picture pops up, just stuff like that, and it was just a lot of fun. We pretended we liked the blues for a night and went down Beale Street and enjoyed cocktails. Kids, don't do that. Don't do what Daddy and Mommy do. Just clean the ashtrays and flush them. Don't put them in the garbage because they can burn. That's bad. You get stuff like that from your parents when ashtrays were actually a piece of furniture.
Yeah, that's right.
Take that cigarette butt out. It don't look good.
I think most of the listeners of this show don't realize that there was a time when that was actually the case, but there was.
You can smoke and not get looks.
You can smoke, you don't got to put yourself in a little circle on the pavement there. That's what it's turned into now, boy.
That's why I quit. It became so, you couldn't do it anymore. You can't smoke on the bus.
Shoot, man, that's fascism coming back, man.
Who made up that rule? Next
I
thing
believe
you know.
that's how the Holocaust got started, man. They stopped smoking on the buses. That's where the hatred came from.
Next thing to go is your gas engine. I've done some reading on the internets on that one.
There's on computers now, the internet. All right.
And a machine that can travel underwater with weapons. I've heard about that, too.
Shoot, I've seen that in that movie, man. Yeah, that shit's real, man.
It was in Da Shu.
Okay. All right, our next question, or series of questions, is from Melissa, who I had the pleasure of meeting in Toronto. And she was actually on the last show, too. I've missed a couple of her questions thanks to overreacting spam filters. So she has a couple that she's making up for it now. So she says, hello, Mr. Mole Man.
Hello.
That'd be you. Yes, you. She says, I got some questions for you. She actually wrote it like that. Number one. Oh, you can't answer this.
Why?
I'm going to save this one for last. Okay, so after Dragon Ball Z ended up getting done by Funimation, what was your impression on Sonny Straight's version of Krillin? Did you obviously heard his version of Krillin?
I watched a couple episodes. It was different. I'm going to be a wiener here, but I honestly believe that Vancouver's actors are better than what they did down there.
I'm very pleased to hear you say that.
No, I just honestly, the problem in what I heard from Funimation, not from Funimation specifically, but when they do shows in towns like that, like I say, they don't do a lot of work. They basically do one or two series, and they just don't have the experience, and they just sound like really green actors, and more power to them. It's good that you got the show and everything like that, but so they could say the same thing about us, is why don't you go to LA if you're so hot? And they're right. I mean, the creme de la creme in animation or voiceovers in film, generally are from LA. And it depends on, if you went to Calgary, they do some ADR there too, but I would compare that more to what they do in Texas.
Right.
It's okay. And it served a purpose, and yippee-ki-yay. Hope that answers the question.
What does your American say? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Oh, there goes the religious people.
Oh, jeez. And the next question is, exactly how fun is it getting to boss people around while they're doing the voices?
It's the best. It's really cute. No, it's good. When
he makes us line up every morning. You will line up. And you will be inspected by Herr Director.
It will smell like lye at first, but you'll get used to it. Turn the showers on now! Okay, make some funny noises. Stand near the microphone. Put the headphones on, and any gold jewelry, please place by the door. Sorry.
Wow, we really shouldn't be making Holocaust jokes. But I opened the door, so it's all right.
Let's do some Guantanamo jokes. They're way funny and they're current.
Hey, Steve Fellers, we're stuck in Guantanamo. You're going to like this one. Because it's true.
I got two Jews walking to Guantanamo. Oh, well, okay, there we go.
That was Trevor.
What I can't figure out is why the second one did. Okay. Ooh, that was silly.
Now you're going to go back to the first question?
Yes, I'm going to go back to the first question. And you can't, there's no way you can answer this. Or if you come up with an answer that you can't, okay,
so I'm just going to ask the question and you say whatever you said.
Who is your favorite actor to direct, and who is your least favorite actor to direct? And she puts a little disclaimer. Yay for Discord.
I would never say the worst because there's so many. No.
Least favorite. The question was, sorry, Mr. Klassen, the question was, who is, are you now, or have been a member of the Communist Party? No, the question is, who is your favorite actor to direct, and who's your least favorite actor to direct?
But the most talented director that I ever directed, I'll answer it this way.
Talented actor.
Yeah, most talented actor that I ever directed was Billy West.
Well, of course.
He's if you go to IMDB and look him up, the guy's just absolutely amazing. And the most famous person I think that ever directed was I can't remember her name. Kathy Bates.
Oh, really?
She was in Popeye, yeah, and she was a lot of fun. She had a cold that day, so it was kind of hard. And so those are kind of the cool people that get direct. I mean, there are people in and you're included in that pile too. There's some very talented people in Vancouver. I don't think, to have a least favorite. You know what? It depends on the day, because there's some actors that come in.
We've all been your least favorite at some point.
I mean, some actors come in on the day and just have no clue of what's going on. I guess, general, anybody that's not prepared to come in with the show. I mean, it doesn't mean that they have to interpret the lines the same way I do, but if somebody doesn't know how the script goes, that's probably his favorite. So
and lateness. You've got a thing
I'm a time anal person. I mean, even coming here, I looked at my watch, it's 7:29. It shouldn't buzz.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I thought, I really hope it's 7:31 when he walks in, so I can give him the gears.
No, you know what? But I really believe that. I really believe that this is one of the things, and if anybody's starting in the business, I don't mind if guys goof around. I think that's awesome if you can do that. But the problem is you got to be there when the lines are being done. You can't be chatting out. When it's 9:00, you got to be in the studio, and not all the time you get in at 9:00. But you just got to be ready to work, because at the end of the day, it's a job.
Yeah,
it's a fun job. But what annoys me is that people kind of look at it as a sort of a social meet, and it's not that. Mm-hmm. But you still should have fun, and I think you got to kind of hopefully keep it on that level.
Well, that's a very responsible answer. Thank you for that, for dodging.
Now we're going to watch golf.
And our last question is from Daniela, who, again, I had the pleasure of meeting in Toronto.
You're meeting all these girls.
Meeting all the chicks. It's awesome.
You should see his apartment. He's got a hot apartment. He's got a studio in here.
So cool.
Blow-up dolls.
You have to remember,
funny.
It's a job, but it's a job with chick potential. Okay, she says, Mr. Klassen. Oh, Mr. Klassen. God,
that's
he
new.
Doesn't even get that from us.
Not even from the police.
Just get out of the car. I can't.
Mr. Klassen, my sincerest thanks for your work on Ed, and Eddie. The show is absolutely incredible, and its viewers can tell how much effort and dedication goes into it. I could go on, but you'll just get a swelled head. Questions. Number one.
Yeah.
On a show where you are not one of the creators, like in Ed, and Eddie,
yeah.
How different is the process of directing? Is the creator always there with you during the recording sessions, and do you end up butting heads a lot?
Don't butt heads. I mean, basically on Ed, and Eddie, which is a funny thing, is they don't run it in Canada. They did for a while on Teletoon, and then it just died.
But it's huge in the States.
It's huge around the world.
Right.
It's massive. Danny Antonucci is the creator of that. And respectfully, he knows exactly what the show is going to be. He knows, like, frame by frame by frame how it's supposed to go. So basically what I do in directing that show is I take what he, interprets it as, and then I try to give that in an act so that the actors can understand that, or try to draw it out of the actors. I mean, he knows exactly what goes on in that show. That show, the storyboards are, if there's 3 ha 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 written on the script for Ed to say, he doesn't go ha 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 ha. It's ha ha ha. 3 ha's.
Wow.
And that's just the way it's shown. And in a way, they really spend a lot of time writing that show. It's very precise. So that's a good thing. But there's other shows where, for example, Yakety Yak, Jay Faulkner, who's now at Nerdcore, he allows you to, interpret things. It's not always right, and he'll tell you that, but he allows you to explore that, and he lets the actors explore it too. And I think that's really, really, really important.
I've said that too before, that it's to the benefit of a show when the actors are allowed to do their jobs, when the actors are allowed to really explore stuff. And you're right, sometimes it's not right, but that's the job of the director and the producing team.
Sure, if they don't like it, don't use it.
Exactly. There's never been a more satisfying experience than on a show like Dragon Booster, which we had with Jay.
Yeah.
Or even like a show like Crypto, like we did, that where there's a lot of freedom for the actors and you can interpret stuff, and suddenly it's very satisfying from the actor's perspective, as I know, when you come up with something and you see the animation guy go, oh, that I didn't even think of that.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, let's go with that one. So that's cool. And the second question from Daniela is, are you a flirt?
Yeah, but it gets me nowhere because I'm just he's getting old. There's some really good-looking girls there, but they're all really nice. You know what? Yeah, you can have fun. We made one girl. We edited lines about. She's a 14-year-old girl. No, I wasn't flirting with her, but I mean, basically, she's a real fun girl. She's very straight-laced, and there was a line about, oh yeah, I would love to, and then we edited in to smoke cigarettes, and that makes no sense with the flirting thing. Anyway, what you try to do is you have fun with the people, whether it's guys or girls, but you can sort of goof around with all the talent in different ways. And you know what? That's a good question in a sense. There have been directors that have gotten into trouble.
I have recently heard.
Yeah, and I think you'd have to go pretty far. Yeah, you have to have fun with talent, and they have to know that it's a joke and it's not serious.
Yeah,
because I mean you don't misinterpret the hug.
Yeah,
even if it's more than a minute.
And I must say too that you yourself have this. Let's call it an ironic sense of humor. And for the first few times I auditioned for you, I wasn't sure if you were serious when you would, jump all over my head the way you did.
Oh, you know what? I've often said this. At the end of auditions. I go, what do people think? They might just think, what a glue head. I'm not reading for this guy again, because I'm just saying stuff. Yeah, that was really good. I wouldn't come back. No, Terry's directing the show. I'm not coming back.
Well, the first couple of times I auditioned for you, I walked out going, I thought I was okay, but I don't know now. This guy's telling me this.
And there's people that I'm sure that I've auditioned 1,000 times that haven't gotten jobs. And recently, who was it? Well, she's on Kid vs. Cat. Erin, and I can't remember her last name. Erin Matthews. I mean, she auditioned 1,000 times, and I really, really liked her. I thought she was really good, but she just missed. Right. There's another girl, and I can't remember her name. She missed for a ton of time. She's on tour with her band right now.
Oh, that's Ashley Ball. Yeah,
and she just couldn't cross that hump for me, and I really don't want them to say don't give up, because eventually they got on shows and they're doing well. Ashley's on the road now, but they're doing really good.
Ashley's still on fire though. I mean, and Erin's on fire. I just finished another series with her. Yeah. She's on another one now. But you know what? You talk about perseverance, and that's somebody like Erin totally has that down. Like, she's just stiff upper lip and keeps a smile on her face the whole time, and always brings 100% to every new audition.
And great energy in the session.
Yeah,
so
and she's
really cool.
It's infectious. It's totally cool.
She's got a lot of problems too.
Yeah, well,
Oh man. Can they sue in Canada?
I think they can. And on that note, I think it's time to bring this travesty to an end.
Oh.
So I want to thank you very much, Herr Klassen, for coming out.
I
hope you had a good time.
That was awesome. Can you tell how they tune out as we went along?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's just... Right now, that's...
Mommy! I flushed myself again!
It's okay, Terry. The kids are already out playing in the yard.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Our next guest on episode 15, I guess it would be. Oh, that would be the halfway mark of season 2. Wow, we're really coming along from the original 6-episode series that I was going to do way back with Sam Vincent. Our next guest is the lovely and talented Marika Hendricks.
She's cool too. She won an award.
Yes, she did. She just won a fairly prestigious award here. You'll recognize her from Black Lagoon and Johnny Test and a whole whack of other stuff. She's going to be our next guest. She's just a treat. She's a doll, and I can't wait to have her on the show. Remember to keep telling your friends and keep spreading the word. And if you can demonstrate some sort of proof that you have helped to advertise the show, your name will go into the grand prize draw at the end of the season for a copy of all the episodes of Voiceprint, signed by, if not all, then the vast majority of the guests who have been on the show. Any questions, concerns, or queries you can send to me, as always, to fans@TrevorDevall.com. And if you have any questions for Marika, by all means, send them in to voiceprint@TrevorDevall.com. That's it for me. Thank you once again, Terry. It's been a pleasure. And we will see you on the